Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. So, we talk a lot about travel, but we don't talk necessarily about the personal benefits one can get from travel. So, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But before we do, please be sure to share, subscribe, follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. I want to give a shout out to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. Thank you, Nick Menard.
Hello, Will. Thank you very much. Hello, winners.
Here we are, wanderlusting on a Wednesday. So, where would you want to start? Kick us off.
Well, I was thinking, what could we talk about with not focus on vendor, not focus on the agency, and not focus on specific destinations. And so I had a couple of ideas, but what are the benefits? The benefits of traveling, because we can think about the experience, number one. Okay, I want to experience something, or maybe learn about a new area, a new culture. It can be benefits for, like the care, the health support you can get from this. It can be a cultural immersion that you can have. You can learn about maybe languages. You can learn about different things that you're not used to on your day-to-day basis. So I was thinking, let's talk about those kind of things and see from our perspective, like what's good for us, for example, why we love to travel, and also give idea for people, when they feel stuck sometimes, maybe travel would be a solution as well.
Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds great. I think, one of the things, I wouldn't expect many people to know this, but I didn't even travel outside the state of Wisconsin until I was 12. And I didn't even get west of the Mississippi. So I didn't, all I went was Wisconsin and Iowa. And it wasn't until I was 17 until I went somewhere in a different part of the country. And I qualified at school for one regional contest to go to nationals in California. And that was the first time. So it was 17. But when that experience happened, just broadened my eye. I'm like, there is so much to see in the world. So very grateful that I've been traveling a lot more since. But so much to see in the world and immersion. But which I know there's a ton of benefits. So which one do you want to start off with first? We can talk about.
Well, first of all, it's interesting. I don't know if I would survive 12 years in Wisconsin only, but that's another subject for another day.
I played a lot of sports. I was playing outside a lot.
I mean, play sport, drinking, and eating.
Yeah. What else is there? Well, one more thing, but we'll keep this family friendly.
Lord. All right. So I mean, you mentioned how did you experience and why you experienced in the beginning, like some travel, and you open your eyes. And it makes me think about an interaction I had this week with a client. So a client called, she's 62. And I'm like, okay, so I always ask, like, what's your experience? Like, what did you already experience in life when it comes to travel? Where did you go? And she said, Nick, at 58 years old, so 4 years ago, was my first time going out of the country. And since then, I made sure to travel every other month. Wow. So, yeah, of course, like she had some financial opportunities to do so, which is not for everybody. But the reason why I'm saying that, she said, I realized that I was missing out on this, and my health went so much better since I started traveling, because I feel a lot more relaxed. I'm happier. I'm able to breathe and not, for example, she refused to have Wi-Fi. So she doesn't want any Wi-Fi package. She doesn't want anything to do with Wi-Fi. So she can disconnect completely. And so this is interesting. So that's one of the reasons why I was thinking about doing this. And for me, when I was, in Belgium, basketball is what allowed me to travel. So I start traveling, playing, like different places. And then during the 3 months interseason, that's where I start traveling to United States. And so I was traveling to the US without knowing the language, but I was passionate by the country. I'm sure people understand and know that if you follow the podcast for a while. But what's important is the benefits of when I come back, I feel like I'm ready. At the time, it was more psychologic because of the situation I was when I was playing, on a high level in basketball. So I have only 3 months a year where I can literally like disconnect and not have training daily and not have all those responsibilities when it comes to my body. And so for 3 months, I love to travel. And I came back in August 1st when the training camp started. I was ready. I was refreshed. I was ready. Maybe not always on shape because that comes with that. But mentally, I was always top. And I think that's where I realized the power of just disconnect, going places to just learn. I mean, I love the United States, so learning about different places in the US. So usually I was starting in New York for 2-3 nights, and then from there I go to Florida or I go to LA, to Vegas, sorry, or Florida. It can be Orlando, Tampa, Miami, different places. But it was my get out, get refreshed, come back, and be ready again. So that was my reason.
Yeah. No, I think there's so many good benefits to it, and I think it's an important point, especially now. Like in the world today, things are seemingly more chaotic than maybe normal, right? There's a lot of changes. And a lot of times people can internalize things, especially things that they don't have much control over. And I love that story about that lady where she's like, not only am I going to travel every other month, I'm not taking Wi-Fi. Like, kudos to her because she's probably reading a book, getting some sun, and drinking.
Yeah.
And not a bad way to spend a day.
No, absolutely. So when I was thinking about that, like making some research about why people travel, and based on my experience, based on the experience of my clients, but I wanted to also understand, okay, what's out there. What came out the most was the top 3 is personal growth and self-discovery, which is pretty interesting, definitely for us with our Monday mindset.
Yeah.
Culture immersion and understanding. That was number 2. And then number 3 was stress relief and mental health. So when I thought about this, personal growth and self-discovery, again, that's pretty much what you just said with my clients. But, by being immersed to a place or to a culture that you're not familiar with, that makes you think about different perspective in life. You used to have a certain way to live. Definitely when you go to places like South Africa, for example, or you see people still living like you see on TV, like that you feel like it's from the 1800s, and they're still living like that. And guess what? They're happy.
Yeah.
You see all those people with a big smile, maybe a few teeth left, but they always have a big smile, and they just are happy. That's pure happiness while not having anything, and that put things into perspective. That's maybe the extreme. But you don't have to go that far. You go to some place in Central America and you see how people are living, and they have a lot less worry than we do. And they have a fraction of the money, but they have a lot less worry. So again, it put things into perspective about when you come back, you said, why am I worrying so much? Why do I want always more? And we are both very driven and motivated people. But sometimes it's good, that's what I said also to my team usually. Like, it's 5 o'clock, shut down.
Yeah.
Like, shut this computer down. The work will be there tomorrow at 8,
Yeah.
You don't have to worry between 5 p.m. and 8 a.m. It's still going to be there. And I think it's important, like, that's different. That's not traveling, but it's to disconnect. But sometimes you need more than that, more than just a staycation. Even though a staycation, sometimes it's what's needed, but go visit something, go somewhere. It doesn't have to be expensive, but just take time for yourself to not think and do something that allow you to see what's out there.
I totally agree. I think 2 things I can point to that had really profound impact on me when I started traveling outside the United States. Even when I took my first cruise when I was 21 and I went to the Bahamas, because to your point, you see the resorts are beautiful, but if you take excursions, you're seeing the way people live. And one of the things that have really grown within me as I've traveled is gratitude, and appreciation for the U.S. because a little different, right? You weren't born here. You came here to visit. You wanted to come here. You loved it so much you became a citizen, right? I think a lot of us who are born in the States, we don't appreciate some of the things that we benefit from that we take for granted. And you know, and that's it's sad in a lot of ways because there's so much to be grateful for living in this country. So I think my gratitude, even though I mean, I've seen some absolutely stunning places
Mm.
overseas, but you also see some poverty. And so gratitude was one. And then I think the other one that really struck me the first time I actually went to the London and I saw the museums there, the British Museum and the Victoria and Albert Museum, was the history of the world. Like you read
Mm.
it in a textbook and you're like, oh yeah, you know, the Roman Empire and ancient Greece. But when you see the artifacts, you see the jewelry, the pottery, the different art that was created,
Architecture.
statues, the mummies, Rosetta Stone, it like, you know, here in the States, we're like, when was this house built? Oh, it was built in 1920. Oh, it's ancient. I mean, it's a whole different perspective when you see just how long humans have roamed the earth and to see it firsthand like that, it made me think, wow, you know, there's a long history here in the United States. It's just a blip in the grand scheme of things so far. We're only 250 years old as a
Oh,
country.
there is no history in the
Yeah,
United States,
yeah,
like even though we can find some, but it's very little.
yeah, very
So
different.
yes, I agree with you, and that's a great perspective to have for people who maybe have the means to do it, but they decide to not do it because they maybe don't have interest. But if you don't experience it, you don't know.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, people who go for clients who go for the first time overseas or in Asia, like Asia, Thailand, or New Zealand, Australia, things like that, or Africa,
Hmm.
their eyes popped, and I'm like, wow, positive, negative, in the middle, but it does something to them.
Hmm.
Like how clean Japan is. And they're like, people are respectful. We don't have that anymore. And it's not an American stuff. You go to Europe, you go to South America, you go majority of places. This is not the case. But you have cases that they respect.
Mhm.
Like they respect the road, they respect the people.
And don't wear shoes inside.
No, no, but and we don't try to say that there is no poverty in United States or there is no bad
Oh, right.
area in United States because
Right.
we can find those,
Of
of course, within our country as well. But even though I always said like you don't have to go very far in the United States to actually experience new things, because
Oh, right.
you can go skiing in US, you can go to the beach in US, you can go to Oregon for the forest, like hiking.
Mhm.
You have so many, you can do everything pretty much in the United States that you can do in the world, but having another kind of lifestyle that you may not experience here go a long way.
Mhm.
So when I come back to the list about stress relief and mental health, so again, the travel in general provides a break from the daily routines, I would say.
Mhm.
It allows individual to relax, unwind, and recharge.
Mhm.
All right. So some people needs a few days to get there. Some people needs a longer time to get there. But you know what you need for yourself. So allow yourself to do so, and go for it. But based on what I said, like for personal growth and self discovery, anything
Mm.
that you think that you can maybe good for listeners to know a story or something.
Yeah, I will remember this till I take my last breath.
Mm.
Was the way I felt the first time I was in Barcelona, and then when I went to Madrid. And I think I may have shared this story before, but where they had the magic fountain and it was all lit up
Mm.
at night. They don't always do that in Spain because they have to shut it down to save money. But the first time I was there, all the fountains were going, all lit up at night. You go up to the top of the hill, you're overlooking the entire city with that massive fountain at the end coming down from the museum. And you can see off in the distance the Barcelona stadium and some of the old buildings they built for the Olympics when they had it. And then I walked down and there's the Congress, and then right there were people playing music. And it was like a 7-minute song, and I still play that song like once a quarter. It just brings me back, and I remember how amazing was this? And then the people and the culture, and you're right on the Mediterranean, and the architecture. I'm a big architecture guy, so
Hmm.
I really like seeing the different architecture styles in Barcelona at Gaudi, and just phenomenal. And then I spent a few days there, and then I took I think it was a 2-day trip to Madrid, which was about a 2.5 hour flight.
Mhm.
It's not as close as one may think, but and then Madrid, I think I shared that story where I never felt so small. I mean, I'm a pretty tall
It's
guy,
all
but
architecture.
the way they have their downtown, those
Mhm.
buildings are so massive next to you, and it's different from New York, because New York, it's a lot of tall but kind of skinny buildings. In Madrid, as you know, it's a
Massive.
massive. That these buildings take up multiple blocks,
Mhm.
and and I just felt, and then obviously the culture was very different, because they have their siesta, right, and their dinners are taking place at 10 o'clock at night. I don't
And they
usually eat that
close in the
late.
middle of the day, the
Yeah, yeah,
stores.
and that was when I first had matcha gin and tonic in Madrid, right off the square. So it was really cool just to see how they live differently than how we live necessarily in the United States here. So I would say that one was probably the at that time my biggest cultural like eye opening. I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
No, I agree. Barcelona, I mean, I stated that multi-time on the podcast, is my favorite city in Europe. And yeah, Gaudi has such a big influence. And I know people say, oh, Sagrada Familia. And it's true. That's
Mhm.
something that he started building and it is still working on it. I think
Mhm.
that's supposed to be done soon, a year or two from now. But it took more than 100 years. And Parkwell. The
Oh,
Parkwell
Parkwell,
it's
yeah.
literally where he used to live. Gaudi used to live, and you have even the possibility there at the entrance to go see the his bedroom, his
Yeah.
living room, and all of that. It's just at the entrance. And always the big salamander is there, and it's
That's right. Yeah.
it makes you put things in perspective. Someone actually did that.
Mhm.
Someone built those architectures, those churches, and the detail, like
Oh.
every centimeters means something, every inches, sorry, yeah,
Mhm.
means something. And literally I mean I took the stairs up, so it's like round
Oh yeah,
stairs
it's
that
a
go
hike.
forever, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then when you're up, you see in between those tower, the way that he just the sculpture that he did, it looks like plants work. I mean,
Yeah.
you need to see it to experience it, but when you see that, you realize that a human being was able to do. And then on the first floor, you have actually um the way that Gaudi looked at how this church was able to stand because it's so wide.
Mhm.
And so the way that he was doing it, he actually had sandbags hanging from a roof and analyzing if the sandbag go that much, you know, a few feet long, and the other one go half the feet that the first one. And he analyzed that, and you see literally a maquette of how he did that, and then he scaled that up and he turned the maquette up. So meaning he hangs sandbag from the top, and he realized what he needs where to be able to stabilize the whole church.
Mhm.
And then literally he measured that and he turned that upside down because he know that if he do that, it's not going to collapse. That's just insane to think that that's the architecture of the time and the way
Yeah.
that this thing looks marvelous. And so again, I can see how this has a deep impact because it makes you think, oh, people are smart, human beings are smart,
Mhm.
and we have so much to give and to experience and to bring to this world that those places make you believe, you know.
Yeah, and you know how when we walk around, like you see it in Vegas, you see it in a lot of bigger cities, you'll see people playing musical instruments on the side. In Barcelona, they're doing like a cha-cha. Like I forget what the dance was, but it was like a dance you would go pay to see at a theater, and there was a guy out there just doing it, and that's how he's making his money. And I'm like, you go, man. Like I felt like I was getting a free,
Concert.
yeah, a free little dance concert just watching. But so very cool. I think another place that really struck me was
Prague. No.
Amsterdam. Well, I was going to say Amsterdam because of the colors of the building.
Mm.
Like it looks fake. It almost, I mean, they're so vibrant and bright, and I'm like, this looks like something out of a picture book. I mean, it
Mhm.
was amazing. So that one like got me. There's so much. I could say 1,000 things.
And that's the beauty of the world. That's
Yeah.
why we're trying to convey here. There's more than just where you are, you know, like, but if you don't go, I mean, pictures and video don't do justice. And, you know, we talked about the episode where we explained the different new movie who may be impactful for travel, but also for mindset and things like that. And I know we didn't mention that, but White Lotus, White Lotus, the increase of tourism in Hawaii after the first one was insane. The spike in season 2 in Italy, in Sicily, was insane. They had to stop actually the tourism there for a few times because that was too big, the amount of people who wanted to visit for the island. That's how bad it was. And then, of course, the third one, Thailand, when it's a boom in Thailand because of White Lotus going in there. So yeah, those plays are great to see on TV, but once you go, that's a totally different level of wow effect.
Yeah.
So I love that. So I have a few more reasons why, you know, traveling is so important and be beneficial. So I want to share with you and with the audience. And so if you have anything to add, let's do it. So learning and education. You know, travel offers unique opportunities for hands-on learning, whether it's exploring historical sites, learning about different cuisine, food, or discovering new skills and perspectives. So that's the learning and education. But we also have building memories and relationships. How many times do we connect with people when we are on vacation and we keep them as friends or people we know, like you know, when you're in Belgium, now you have people that you that you are friends with in Belgium. But travel really creates lasting memories and strengthens bonds with loved ones through shared experience. It also provides opportunities to meet new people and build connections with any kind of individuals from different backgrounds. And that's something I know you can do that here as well when you go out. But I think that it's deeper, the kind of, you know, people reacting to you as an American when you're here, and then you have tourists coming. And we live in Florida, so you have a lot of tourists. And the way they look at us sometimes, like, oh my God, but you live where we go on vacation. You know? But it's the same when we travel and we just want to learn about them. So that kind of connection can go so much deeper than just a random, shallow connection that you may have when you go out as, you know, as Americans together.
Yeah, no, very true. I think the bonds that are made can certainly be great. Now, granted, I'm a little more introverted, so I don't necessarily. You're better about like just striking up conversations with strangers. I don't normally proactively do it, but if somebody says something to me, I engage with them. And I remember some conversations I had in Prague with some folks. I remember in Madrid some conversations. You know, anywhere, because they hear my accent. And yes, Americans do have an accent, even though we don't think we do. But to them, we do. And it all strikes out. I remember the first time I was in Kensington in the UK, and I went to this family-owned Indian place, and he heard me start to say the order, and he gave me a custom dish. And then he gave me a custom dessert that wasn't even on the menu. Like, so kind. And so, yeah. And obviously, if you travel with family, you know, that can enrich in the bonds. I think you want to, you know, widen the horizons of the family members if they're not used to traveling and things like that, which is great. But the learning piece, I talked a lot about the museums and stuff like that. But even things like I rode with the dolphin when I was in Belize, you know, and you learn a little bit more about dolphins than what I knew before. Stingray Beach off of was Cozumel, I believe, right? Cozumel. And you know, so you can learn things like that. There's so much you can get from it, and nurtures your mind, nurtures your spirit and your soul. Yeah.
Love it. I totally agree with it. And you know, I love when you travel with your children. I know that's in United States, but when you take one of your son to go to who is more into history and food, and then you take the other one to experience other stuff, it's create a bond. It's create a bond. It's something that you go like a father and son kind of thing. But yeah, that's what travel, can do to you. We're not here to talk only about international. We talk about travel. So yeah, very important for a lot of different reasons. And the most important, memories never fade.
That's right.
You will never forget memories. You may lose everything in life, but memories will stick.
Oh yeah.
And so create memories instead of buying more materialistic stuff, because at the end of the day, the memories is what you will never forget.
Absolutely. And to see places like we talked a little bit about this, even places that you see on TV or in movies. Like I talked about seeing the rocks in Oregon from the Goonies movie. I talked about going to Hobbiton in New Zealand for Lord of the Rings. I mean, London. Oh, how many downtown scenes have you seen where they're driving through London, like spy movies or whatever, but seeing all that stuff at the Odeon Theater, which is a historical theater in London. And I saw Star Wars, The Last Jedi on that one. Just amazing things to do. And I think the thing that I still find striking is 52% of Americans don't own a passport. And you're right. There is a ton to see in the States. In the States, there's beautiful, many things. But just the fact of that, I'm just like, people are missing out. They're really missing out. There's so much to see and experience in food. We didn't even talk about the food.
That's an whole episode there.
Oh my gosh. Like Barcelona with the tapas.
Paella.
I could go. We could do an episode or 5 just on the food that we've had as we traveled. But
we record this episode at 11 a.m. so we can go eat right after.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I hope that the episode was a little bit different, but was something that you liked. And again, give us feedback, tell us what you think, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll just say, don't wait for the perfect time. There is no perfect time. And I had a conversation real quickly with somebody recently, and she was stressed about investing money to take a trip. And I'm like, so I saw my parents who didn't have much, and they didn't really travel at all. And my dad didn't really care. But my mom she had the Wanderlust bug. She always wanted to travel, and she didn't. And now she's kind of living vicariously through me because her health doesn't really allow her to do long travel. And I just think about how much she would have loved to seen even a fraction of what I've done. But she kept putting it off for another day, or there was always a reason not to do it. Just take the leap. You know, I'm not saying you have to go 5-star hotels. You have to go business class on flights. I'm not saying any of that. There's a lot of things, especially if you work with somebody like Nick Menard and Associates of Dream Vacations, where they can create an experience that fits within your budget, but just have the experience. Because to your point, memories last forever. And you're not going to remember how much you may have saved on the TV, but you'll definitely remember the nighttime cruise on the Mediterranean as you're sipping a glass of wine.
Yeah, I have to say, sometimes the most little things are the things that you remember. I remember, I do a lot of cruises. I'm very, very fortunate and lucky. The last cruise I did, I remember I was on the top floor, and it was a Bahamas cruise. So it's literally like far from one of the best I did. But I was literally there at night and just chilling on the frontest place on the ship, and I was literally looking, and there was the moon, there was a full moon, and the reflect on the water. And I was just there with some wind, but it was the ship was not sailing fast at all. And just seeing the reflect of the moon on the water while I was moving. And I was literally there for like 20 minutes by myself and just looking, and I'm like, man, how lucky I am, because majority of people will never experience this, or crazy or stupid it is to think like that. But I was like, we're lucky. Yeah. I'm so fortunate to be here. So yeah, those little details you will never forget. So yeah, get yourself out, because how many times, and again, I will be morbid a little bit here, but how many times did I hear my dad first, when I retire, I'm gonna go do this, and retire 2 years later, passed away.
Yeah.
and you never know when it's coming.
Right.
I heard from another person I know who passed away last week. 66 years old, a year from retiring from our company. Rest in peace, Robert. But it's literally crazy, just waiting for a deadline where you don't even know if you're going to be there. So
tomorrow's not a given.
Just do it.
And just live.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, winners, that'll do it for this Wanderlust Wednesday episode. Hopefully, for those of you who've been on the fence for a trip, maybe you got a little nudge and you decided to go ahead and do it. Please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow 2 for the Win on your favorite platform. And again, shout out to Nick Menard and Associates with Dream Vacations for sponsoring today's episode. We'll see you next week, winners. Be well.
Bye.